Welcome to the Antioch University Santa Barbara Writing Center workshop, Understanding APA. This part of the workshop is APA Format Part 2, References and Document Format. This is the last video in a 5-video series in the Understanding APA workshop. The first 3 were about APA style, and these last 2 are about APA format. So for an overview of this video, first I'll talk about what the point is of a references section, then I'll talk about hanging indent format and how to format your paper that way. Then I'll go over some specific references formats, like for the examples of a book, an article, and a website. I'll also talk about how to format your references and citations when you have 2 works with the same author in the same year. And then last, I'll talk about the document format overall, including title page, abstract page, etc. in APA 7th edition. So first, what's the point of a references section? Well, it lists every works cited in your writing all in one place in alphabetical order. I think that's the part we're all familiar with. But why is that important to do? Well, it's important for obviously your credibility as a writer, to show that you're choosing sources that are reliable and credible, and also that you've cited your sources and have not done any plagiarism. But also, it's important for your readers if they're interested in your topic and in that kind of research. So your readers can look at your references section and maybe go find some of those sources themselves to do that research. And you can do this as well when you are doing research and you find an article that is so perfect for your topic. Definitely look at their references section. Maybe even copy and paste some of their references into Google Scholar and or the library website and try to find the sources that they have collected there in their references in case those sources are useful for your research too. This is just a screenshot of one of the resources we have on the Santa Barbara Writing Center website. This one is how to format an APA 7 references list. It's a little screenshot from it. And we also have another one called reference examples by type of source. The main thing I want to point out here is that the tricky thing when formatting references often is just to figure out what type of source you're working with. So whether it's a single author book, a chapter in an edited book, where you have a different author versus the names of the editors of the book, scholarly journal article, newspaper article, or on this resource, we also have formats for things like YouTube videos or websites. So sometimes the trickiest part is just figuring out what type of source am I citing. And once you figure out the type of source, all you have to do is match the reference formatting using our handouts or any kind of APA resources. And I will tell you some things to pay attention to when you're doing that in just a moment. First, though, I want to talk about the hanging indent. So the hanging indent is this half an inch indent of all the lines in your reference other than the top line. So it's called a hanging indent because the top part actually hangs out to the left so that you can easily see all of the alphabetized first author's last names in a row, and all the other information is indented underneath. And that's, the opposite of a regular paragraph indent where the top line would be indented instead of the rest. So there's a few ways to set this up in your document. First of all, I would say do not do this manually. Do not click on each reference and hit return tab, return tab. That's really going to mess things up, especially if you end up needing to change the font or margins later on. It will turn into a big mess. So it's much better actually to type all of your reference information into your document first. Don't worry about the indent at first. And then when all of your reference information is there and done and looking good, add the hanging indent last by highlighting all of the words in your reference section. And then step 1, you can do this in Microsoft Word or Google Slides. You're going to go to Format, Paragraph, and when you're formatting the paragraph in Microsoft Word, it looks like this, special indent hanging. And that's also possible in Google Slides. The menu buttons might look a little different. Another option, if you don't like that first one, is to have the ruler show at the top of your document. Highlight, again, wait until you're done with all your content, highlight all your content, and then you're going to click on a little button on the ruler. In this case, it's that bottom rectangle, and drag it half an inch over to the right. That will drag all of your text to the right. So then you'll have to click on another little button, one of the triangles here, and drag it half an inch to the left to make the top line of every reference hang out to the left margin. So I recommend asking for help from a writing center if you need to, or check out our APA templates where we already have the hanging indent formatting on the document. But basically, do it with one of those two methods I showed you rather than doing it manually for each source. Now I'm going to talk about reference formats for different types of sources, just a few common sources, starting with a book. So for books with a single author, you put the author last name, comma, the first initial, then the year of publication in parentheses with a period after. Then you put the book title. And I told you I would say some things to pay attention to when you're doing reference format. The main ones are capitalization and italicization. So what's capitalized and what's italicized? In the book title, for example, the first letter of the book title and the first letter of the subtitle are capitalized, but none of the other words are capitalized unless they're a proper noun, like a person or place name. Okay, so basically we have a lot of lowercase letters in the book title, and also the book title is italicized. And it's a new thing in APA 7 compared to APA 6 that we don't list the place of publication for the books. So many things have gone digital now. I think it's just less important to have a city there and more important just to have the name of the publisher. So here we have the publisher without a city. And what these would look like up in your text, in your in-text citations, would be the author's last name and the year. Okay, now I'll talk about another type of source, articles. So if you're citing a journal article, you would have author last names and first initials again, and the year of publication. Then you have the article title. This uses the same kind of capitalization as a book title, where only the first letter of the title and first letter of the subtitle are capitalized, but nothing else except for proper nouns. But here to pay attention that the article title is not in italics, it's in plain text. And then the journal title, which comes after it, is in italics, and all the major words are capitalized. The journal in psychology, the first word, and then any major words after that. Also, for journal articles, you need to include volume number, issue number, and page numbers. And you should use a DOI if it's available, or include a URL if a DOI is not available. So if possible, include a DOI. If not, include a URL. And if neither is available, then that's okay. You can also you should also leave the links as blue underlined hyperlinks, so active links now that everything is more commonly shared digitally. And you can optionally shorten your DOI using this specific DOI shortener website. And here's what your parenthetical citation would look like. Because we have 3 or more authors, it's going to be the first author's last name with et al., as I talked about in the last 2 videos. The third type of source I'm going to talk about is citing a website. So often websites don't have just one single author name. And in that case, you can use the organization's name as the author, like a group author. So here I was on the County of Santa Barbara website, so I'm going to use the words County of Santa Barbara as the author name instead of one person's name. Also, websites often don't have a date of publication or year of publication. So in that case, and for any source that's like that, you can write N period D period that stands for no date. And you'll just use that anywhere you would normally use the year of publication. And then here, it's better not to cite this like big website that has lots of different pages within it. The big website in this case is Public Health Department, County of Santa Barbara. If possible, try to cite the more specific, smaller specific page you were looking at or taking source information from. In this case, it was Immunization Project. So here the title of the work is italicized, only the first letter is capitalized, and the website name, all the major words are capitalized and it's not italicized. You only need to include a retrieve date if you're citing from a source that's designed to be updated where the content is designed to change over time. But if you're citing a source that's like a published PDF publication that has a date at the top and a website has posted it, but that content is never going to change over time, then you can include the URL for that, but then you don't need to include the retrieve date. Okay, and then like I said, the in-text citations would just use this group author name as the author name up in your paper in the text. So County of Santa Barbara, comma, ND. We're using ND for no date instead of the year. Or if you're using it in a signal phrase to start off the sentence, according to the County of Santa Barbara, ND, or the County of Santa Barbara has explained that. In a special case, when you have two works with the same author in the same year, what you'll need to do to distinguish them is choose to add a lowercase a and a lowercase b. So here we have Rosenberg 2011 and Rosenberg 2011. So I added an A and a B to them. And then you'll need to kind of keep it straight, which one is which. And in the in-text citations in your paper, use the A or the B with the year to indicate to your readers which source you're citing. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about the overall format of your document as a whole in APA 7. So usually a student title page is required, right? Unless your instructor specifically says you don't need to include it. This is by default what's included in APA style. And in the top right corner, you're going to have a page number even on this title page and in every page throughout your document. Halfway down the page or so, you're going to have the title of the paper in bold and then one extra blank line of space under that. And after that, all of this information, unless otherwise instructed by your instructor. The second page will be where your abstract goes if an abstract is required for your assignment. And an abstract is something that gives away everything in the paper. Like, it's all the spoilers, and it tells your readers what to expect in terms of your main claims of the paper and the main findings to help readers decide if your paper is relevant for them to read in their research or not. So again, in the top right corner, we have a page number. Top of page, it says the word abstract, bolded and centered. This abstract should be 250 words at the most, and it should have keywords indented here, and the word keywords is italicized. These keywords are like the search terms that someone would use in a library search website if they were doing research and wanted to find something like your paper. Then all the other pages in your manuscript will come next. So if you don't have to do an abstract, these will start on page 2, otherwise they'll start on page 3. They again have the page number in the top right, margins of 1 inch all around, everything's double spaced. Indent the first line of every paragraph by 1/2 inch, even the first paragraph of a new section. Use section headings as needed, especially for longer papers like master's theses and dissertations. Then your references page will start on its own new page, not halfway up the last page. So you can insert a page break before this starts. It's going to be on a new page with a new page number. The word references will be bolded and centered at the top. It's not called works cited. That's like in MLA style. It's all going to be in alphabetical order, everything double spaced with the hanging indent like we talked about. And you're not going to list personal communication here like I talked about in a previous video. Instead, you'll include personal communication as an in-text citation with first initial, last name, comma, the words personal communication, and then the specific date that happened, whether it was an email, phone interview, or something like that. And then the last thing, as I already mentioned, you should leave URLs as blue underlined hyperlinks, and you can optionally shorten DOIs using this website. So some final advice for references, especially if you don't know how to format the reference for some weird, unique, or one-of-a-kind source. Don't worry too much, just use common sense and model it after the other references, like make it look like an APA reference. And, remember the point of the references section, which is just to provide enough information for a reader to track down that source themselves if they're interested in that same kind of research. So, if you have to cite some installation art dance performance piece, like include the artist's name as the author name, include the title of the piece, include the date or the year. So all of that necessary information, and then format it to look like the APA reference format for a video or something like that, and make it look like APA and include the important info. So thank you for watching. That was APA format part 2, references in document format. Also check out our other videos. We have 3 on APA style and 1 on APA format in text citations. And all of our resources can be found online on the Santa Barbara Writing Center website. We have an APA example paper, some resources on formats for citations and references, and these APA templates that give you the format of the entire document already for you to start your paper with. We have Word document templates and Google Doc templates. If you're a student at Antioch Santa Barbara, you can get to our Writing Center website from this button in AU Direct. And again, here are all the resources we have there. Thank you for watching.